Hello and welcome to coverage of the third stage of the Tour of Hainan in its 17th edition in the year 2026. A beautiful 5-day race across the tropical island province that has so far taken us from the north to the south coast in 3 leaps. Today we leave behind us the mountains of Wujisan, which shaped the race on stage 2 and gave us a new race leader, and we head for the Chinese Riviera and a finish in Lingshui, overlooking Monkey Island, the reserve specially for the macaque monkeys. This is a beautiful part of the world, and the finish today is next to the Ocean Paradise Complex. The scene is set then, and this is what awaits the riders. A slightly modified route. The original plan was that they would race over 217 kilometres, but given the forecast of strong headwinds, the race organisers have shaved about 30 kilometres off. But that doesn't mean that there aren't 3 categorised climbs and 2 intermediate sprints before a possible bunch finish in Lingshui, where last time out, the Serbian winner of Stage 1, Dusan Rajovic, last year tasted victory. A new race leader, though, in the colours of XDS Astana, wearing the yellow jersey, and that is the Uruguayan Thomas Silva. All the big names and the jersey wearers then lined up, making their last preparations, including Rajovic, and including the man in the green jersey in second place, threatening the yellow jersey of Thomas Silva. That is Javier Berasategui of the Euskaltel Euskadi team, rolling out then over a 193.8 slightly modified stage that'll take them definitively to the south coast. Hot temperatures, a stiff headwind, and XDS Astana on an absolute mission, splitting up the race early on. Fausto Masnada taking King of the Mountains points at the first climb and then going off in pursuit of more in the company of the man in the King of the Mountains jersey, Igor Shchen. But it's XDS Astana who really take things up and make the race very hard. The provisional rankings then, Igor Shchen, after all the climbs completed, with a 20-point lead in the King of the Mountains competition. Not that bothered XDS Astana, who continued to ride hard on the front for their leader Thomas Silva, and the man in the blue jersey are the best Asian, and that is Nikola Vinokourov. Approaching the second and final intermediate sprint of the day then, with no breakaway up the road, there were bonus seconds on offer for the top 24 riders. Everybody interested in picking up the 3, 2 and 1 bonus seconds. Thomas Pesenti being led out by his Polti Visit Malta team, but it was Baptiste Feestroffer of Lotto Intermarché who held off the challenge of Berasategui to pick up 3 points. Berasategui in second place, picking up 2 points. And they could be significant by the end of the day. Inside the last 30 kilometres then, the attacks coming thick and fast, and a 3-rider group, including Bardiani's Manueli Tarozzi, getting up the road, joined by the Australian Fergus Browning and the Frenchman Lucas de Rossi of the Chinese team, China Anta Mentec cycling team, with a becalmed bunch and XDS Astana not prepared to ride these 3 down, as they're no threat in the general classification. The trio started to build up a lead, but MBH Bank had different ideas. With their entire team in the selection of no more than about 30-35 riders, they put a rider on the front, and suddenly they started to wilt under the pressure. De Rossi was dropped first of all, as MBH Bank brought them back one by one, closing the gap that was 40 seconds to just 10 seconds as De Rossi was swept up. Browning at this point still off the front with Tarozzi, but joined by one of the riders from MBH Bank team, Euskaltel Euskadi as well, launching a rider across the gap to make it 4 at the front of the race, with Masnada, his teammate, towards the back in the company of the King of the Mountains. The attacks coming thick and fast, and Tarozzi joined by that rider from MBH Bank, Euskaltel Euskadi, forcing the yellow jersey to work at the front. Thomas Silva already expending a lot of energy, as XDS Astana, having really exhausted their resources and no more domestiques left, put their leaders on the front, including Nikola Vinokourov in the blue jersey. And then a big attack from Baptiste Feestroffer. Having picked up those 3 seconds at the intermediate sprint, he's now just 7 seconds off the race lead of Thomas Silva, instantly getting a gap, forcing Caja Rural to chase. But Feestrofer, the only rider in this selection of riders in the red of Lotto Intermarché, a difficult man to catch on the attack every single day here in Hainan. And now this was a play not just for the stage, but potentially for the yellow jersey. Carter Bettles, the Oceania champion, going off in pursuit for the Rujai Insurance team from Thailand. And at the back in the main peloton, Silva asking for cooperation and not getting it. No one prepared to work with the race leader to bring back the attackers at the front of the race. So trouble then for XDS Astana, really struggling to control the race. A lull in the action. Just inside 8 kilometres then was the opportunity for the Cypriot rider from the Quick Pro team, Andreas Miltiadis, to launch an attack. One check back to see if he'd got a gap, which he had, and the Cypriot national road race champion committed to his effort. Looking round behind to see which of the teams and which of the riders was going to take the responsibility to bring Miltiadis back, and Miltiadis profiting from the confusion behind. XDS Astana not prepared to ride. Polti Visit Malta looking round, as well as Solutions Tech Nippo Rally. In the end, it was MBH Bank trying to get across to the wheel of the Cypriot with 5 kilometres to go, though. Still, he had an advantage of around about 7 seconds. After that, it was Finlay Walsh who tried to get across, but he gave up as well. Strong ride from the Cypriot, closer, ever closer to the finish line, where in a change of direction, the course would go downhill and pick up a tailwind that would only be to his benefit. Over the top of that last little climb then, and Miltiadis still with a few seconds in the bank, holding off a challenge this time from Polti Visit Malta, but now blown towards the Flamme Rouge in the final kilometre by a tailwind. Miltiadis, the 11-time national time trial champion of Cyprus, the 6-time national road race champion, taking a first ever professional victory ahead of a sprint for the minor placings that went to Daniel Cavia, with the Basque rider Berasategui significantly getting 3rd place. But no doubt about the win, though. It was Miltiadis, and a brilliant victory from the Cypriot rider.
It was a hard stage to survive. Finally I survived until the climbs, and then I have in mind if I have the opportunity to go before the finish, like close to the finish, but I see an opportunity like 7 km to go. I try, but finally I don't know what happened behind, but I take the win.
He certainly did, and what an impressive victory that was. Ahead of the sprint that was won by Cavia, with Berasategui in 3rd place on the stage. Alexander Konishev picking up 4th, and Nikola Vinokourov propping up the top 10 in 10th place. A 2-second time gap on the line. But a new maillot jaune, Javier Berasategui, with the bonus seconds that he picked up then, the new leader of the race. A crazy race, a lot of attacks, a lot of counter-attacks, but in the end, from that small group, it wasn't a victory, but it was a good result nonetheless. And the race is still wide open in the Tour of Hainan.